Good afternoon, everybody. My name is DJ Darby on the Red, White&Pissed podcast. It is March 25th at 5:20 p.m. So I know last week I didn't make an episode. My family was under the weather, and I was trying to deal with that, and then I had work and stuff like that. So I'm trying to pick up a little bit. I know there's a lot of stuff going on in the world or in the country that really maybe some people feel like they need to be talked about, but tonight I'm not going to really speak on that as much. I know that's kind of a thing, but I haven't had a ton of time to keep up with the news going on in the U.S. I've been keeping up with it, but I haven't been able to really study it. Time is an issue with me on that, so please forgive me for that. But I am going to touch on something that I feel is very, very important, and it's kind of a critical talking point in my political beliefs. Excuse me, and it's really a lot of people question it, and they're critical of it. I don't know that it's as critical now as it used to be, especially back, we'll even say 5 years ago. So this is something I've kind of believed in for a long time, really my whole life. But as far as advocating for it, I've gotten more into the deep parts of politics and kind of felt like I had no representation. So I kind of feel like this is going to be something that helps people understand my ideology to a lot of things. It's not my sole ideology, but it is very important to my critical thinking. And I would like to touch on that tonight. And I really won't, like I said, I won't touch on much. I know the Iran war is going on. Uh, Joe Kent, resigned from his position, and I do want to talk on that. Probably next week's show. I might can squeeze another show in this week. It is Wednesday. I'm a day late. I'm also trying to fix within my scheduling, trying to fix like the days, the weeks that I go live on TikTok or that I do a podcast. I know that it's a lot of people that I know I post the video a day late usually, but today I think I can squeeze it in and upload it. I know that the platform I use, Riverside, is going to be they're experiencing some issues with exporting. So we'll see, but I think we should get started. I'm not trying to make this a long show, but I am very passionate about this topic, and a lot of people should be. I don't think they are because they're worried about the repercussions of it. But y'all know me. I don't really care that much on the repercussions on things as far as what I talk about. And I do have some examples, but I would like for you, as really anybody, to take in what you see as well in these talking points. But right now, I'm going to talk about my white nationalist stance in the politics. Um, a lot of people hear white nationalist and think, "Oh my God, he's a racist. He's a Klansman, whatever." I'm not a Klansman, but and I wouldn't even say I'm racist. I'd just say that I provide facts that lead more to one observation that you would believe to be racist, and then it might even be identified as racism. And I don't give a shit. So we're gonna touch on that. I'm right off work. I got off work a little early, so I figured I'd come over here and do this. Anyway, so what does it mean to be a white nationalist to me? It's maintaining a white race that is very important, and it's a delicate topic, like I've said before, and it's sensitive to a lot of people. And I'm not bashing other races by saying that, but what I am saying is society wouldn't function without white people, and before you know it, that'll be something that has to be figured out. And actually, other countries have provided you the information on that and the proof in that, and so it's kind of hard to understand. But looking in America right now, you're seeing a white genocide that a lot of people don't really want to open their eyes to, and that they don't really care about because they do hate the white race. And well, I hate to break it to them, but society won't function without white people. And I hate to say that and it sound like, well, you're saying all black communities can't function. No, they can't prosper. Same thing with the Muslim influx and the Islam people, the towelheads or whatever you want to call them. Uh, their society won't function without white people, and that's just proven, man. I'm not saying that Dubai. Let's say Dubai. That's a great example. A a community or a country or a city, whatever you want to use an example of, that is functioning without white people, but the oil money there is providing all them like the money there. You take oil away from that area, you don't have the prospering area that you would believe to have. And they're clean people, but they're really billionaires. So, anyways, I'm sorry, and I'm under the weather. I'm not really under the weather. Some sinuses. Been cutting some trees that were full of pollen. And of course, I play in dirt. So, anyways, before I get too deep into this, I'm going to kind of touch on what I just stated, and I want to talk about the accomplishments of white people, and there's a list of them. So, excuse me while I read this, and it's not professional. Who the hell said I was a journalist either? So, and I'm also trying to fix my cussing and clean that up a little bit. I told y'all I try to fix problems that I recognize. Anyways, we're going to talk over the accomplishments of white people, and I'm going to run through this. You're more than welcome to Google it. You're more than welcome to do your own fact checking. But we've literally I'll just go through some of this. I'm not going to go through all of them. I've got a lot. Anyways, so in physics and chemistry, you got John Dalton, who developed the atomic theory. You got Joseph John Thomson, who discovered the electron. Ernest Rutherford described the atomic nucleus. That's just in physics and chemistry. Medicine and health, which they always correspond. Louis Pasteur advanced germ theory and vaccinations. Um, I don't have a name for this one, but somebody created anesthesiology or anesthesia and surgical techniques, engineering and technology. We created the printing press, electricity, TV, telephone, airplanes, cars, trucks or cars slash trucks, and nuclear energy. Which, like, if you just want to talk on this one uh, topic alone and this one field of engineering and technology, and this is not all. So when I'm reading this off, this is just stuff that I've pinpointed, that I brought to everybody's attention. That, like I said, you're more than welcome to go do your research on your own, and you'll have a list longer than mine. But just in this, so we created the printing press for newspapers, magazines, books, whatever. Electricity. Could you see the world without electricity? And this is what I've made a TikTok that said, everybody wants to do away with white people, but if you hadn't had white people, you would be living in mud huts. That was like more of my analogy to use on that. And a lot of people took that out of context and were like, "Oh, we wouldn't be living in mud huts," but like, yeah, you would, because we have civilized everywhere we've been. So technology, I mean, not technology, electricity. Literally, the world would not run without it at this point, unfortunately. Of course, it would, but it wouldn't run to the magnitude that we're at now. Countries would not be prospering without electricity. Literally, China knows that if they want to shut down a country, they'll go for the power grid, because a lot of people, not saying me, but a lot of people uh, would be worthless without electricity. The country would be worthless without electricity. Literally, your sewage plants, your water treatment plants, all this stuff is ran with electricity and computerized. So there's a lot of things that people don't understand about that. But had it not been invented, where would we be at? And you can't say that, oh, somebody else would have invented it. I highly doubt that, because what other inventions have they made without modern technology as far as uh, electricity? You know what I mean? The TV. Everybody watches TV. That I believe. I mean, most people watch TV. Another one, you got the telephone. I mean, you're probably listening to this or watching this on the telephone. Just imagine your life without it. A lot of people would say, and the counter argument to this is going to be, well, somebody else would have invented it. Really, you think so? Like, I don't know that would be accurate information. You can't really form that opinion based off that, because, well, it's here, and you really haven't prospered since then. So, anyways, airplanes. Where would you be if you didn't have airplanes? I mean, just think of this stuff, like cars and trucks. Where would you be without cars and trucks? I know some of y'all's big asses ain't walking everywhere. Even the towns, the roads would be just dirt. I mean, sure, I would like to be on horseback, but I know that I'm not going to work every day on a horse. Obviously, we would not be as prospering a prospering country without these things, or world. to say the least. And then the nuclear energy. Everybody knows about nuclear energy, power, all that other stuff. Yeah, I mean, you have to have it. Unfortunately, everybody's like, well, nuclear bombs. No, that's not exactly what that means. Nuclear power plants are used every day. That generates power. I mean, the list could go on and on. I've told you I'm not trying to get on each topic a lot because I do have a lot to say. But Isaac Newton formulated laws of motion and gravitation. We developed calculus and geometry plus some more of that. I just didn't have enough room. Our legal and political systems. We created constitutional. Obviously, we created common law, principles of property rights. I mean, just the Constitution alone wouldn't be here. Okay, and I'm sure somebody would have wrote one up, but I don't think it would have been as utilized and as good as what we made. And then common law, obviously, without a within a community or even I don't even know. You could just say any kind of society, you have to have law. Without law, would be commotion, would be hectic. There'd be people shooting people all day. You'd have people getting robbed. There would be no law and order to that. And then the principles of property rights. Obviously, if you own property, you have rights to that property. And then there's other stuff that branches off of that. That one doesn't hold as much because of now the government, how powerful the government's become. Um, it just in general, just off what I've read off to you there, you have to understand like this picture of the life without that. And now that you have that, you don't want us anymore. And I just can't get with that. I don't understand how somebody could provide so much and then be so little to society after you use everything that we do, everything that we created. Um, and then you got exploration and mapping. Of course, we're conquerors. We explore lands, we conquer lands, and then we give you maps on how to travel the lands and other things like that. We created the mapping system. So, of course, you have a map. And used to, before you had GPS, you would get on the map and you'd see how you would travel to the beach. And a lot of people my age really didn't remember that. I do as a kid remember my grandparents having maps in their cars, my mom having a map in her car. If we were going anywhere that nobody would really, we're not used to traveling. So, uh, I kind of ran through that pretty quick because, like I said, there's a lot there that you are more than welcome to go and research for yourself. But I do have a question, and it's a general question for even white people itself, because white people fail other white people. If you look at statistics, like you get the white liberals that side with every illegal immigrant that comes in the country, I guess. You have those that mix race that really just doesn't associate with their own race anymore. And that's part of a white genocide that a lot of people don't really want to acknowledge because they don't care. But that's very important to society. This is very how can I say? Because I do try to keep this out of a lot of my topics. But I would like to say, like, had God not created different races of people and different colors of people, we'd all be one color. You don't see red birds fucking bluebirds, and that's just the sad reality to it. You're gonna say that's racist, but that's reality. Anybody with common thinking skills should know that. But do I say that they're not worth more? They're not worth the same amount being a mixed race of person. No, I'm not saying that. No, I'm not saying they go to hell. I'm not saying that the parents go to hell for that. But I am saying there was a reason that different colors of people were made, and it might even be, you know, Africans were in Africa due to the sunlight. They were a different color or whatever. And there's a lot of statistics that go to that, and a lot of opinion based topics that a lot of people like to talk about. I haven't talked on every one of them, haven't even studied every one of them. But I do know that certain races or certain tongue tied, whatever, ethnics of people based off their DNA and their ancestry, how they have better lungs, whatever, better pigmented skin due to sunlight, exposure to sunlight, stuff like that. And that's just, and IQ levels are different in certain groups of people. I mean, that's just the sad reality of it. Do I say there's not smart black people? Or am I not saying there's smart Mexicans or Asians? Obviously, every race has their intellectual people that are great. I'm not saying that one race is superior to another. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying, but I am giving you facts and making you think a little harder on what the white race is and how it is important to society and where we stand with that. I mean, this is a failing race right now. I mean, dude, I've got some facts that I'm going to present to you tonight or today, and that proves to you that hey, there is a white genocide going on, and where would we be without white people? And even if you were to say they're extinct now, let's just say in the United States, white people were never here anymore. Where would you be as a country? Where would you be as a civilization? I mean, yes, you're here, but do you have progress after this? No, I don't believe you do, but that's again an opinion that a lot of people are going to question. Don't really give a shit. Uh, so, anyways, let's go get on the next topic point on this. Where do people, when people look at non-white communities, do you think like? I've even talked to black people. I've talked to Hispanic people, Asian people, and the question is like, what is wrong with my community? Even white people, you get your trailer trash, and I'm not saying people that live in trailers are trash. I'm just saying, you know what I mean. The generalization of that is, certain people have different standards to living, and you have your flaws and all. A lot of people just don't really. I don't know. They wear blinders, and they don't think that there's negatives in their society or there's negatives in their community. Whatever there is, there's plenty of them, and you have to open your eyes to see them. And they're in every race at this point. Okay, I'm not even insinuating that all white people that they follow the law, they invented stuff. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that we are very important to society and maintaining a law-abiding society and a structural society and economics. I mean, you got to have it, right? So, anyways, would you look at the crime rates in a non-white community? They're not that great. Do we? Are we saying that because there's not white people that break the law? No, we're saying that because within that community, you have cultures, and I want to go back and talk on cultures before I'm done with all this. Um, but what it means to be your race is very important. I always hear about black culture, Hispanic culture, Asian culture, Native American culture, whatever, and that's fine. I have Native American in me. I'm not even 110% white, but I am saying, where are your crime rates in this? Why is crime such a bad thing? And you look at culturally, it's like, well, this demographic of people typically don't follow certain laws and rules in society, and that's why they're a problem in society. I'm not saying they need to be done away with, but you have to make this general understanding like, hey, there is a lot more bad in this community than this one, and what's the difference? And if it's race, then and that's the only difference you can come up with, then hey, so be that. Because at this point you can't say, oh, well, we're oppressed. You're not oppressed. You have the same opportunity as everybody else. Actually, you have more opportunity than me. You can go to college for free. I have to pay for my scholarship or pay my grants or whatever I get. I have to pay for that. I don't have to pay grants, but I would have to pay to go to school because I am white. Okay, and that's the sad reality to it. The DEI programs, they're shitting on white people, and that's racist, and nobody wants to call it racist because why? Well, you can't be racist to white people, and that's absolutely the biggest crock of shit. Somebody black or somebody Asian, somebody drew that bullshit up and just said, well, let's run with it. And it's probably a black person, to be honest with you, because they seem to hate white people. Anyways, an oppression, a lot of people say oppression like, oh, well, they don't have the money, they don't have the opportunity, and I just touched on that. You do have the opportunity to go to school. As far as your jobs and stuff, I've met numerous of black people that say, "Why would I go to work? Government pays me." And if everybody had that mindset, we'd be, oh my god, this would be the biggest shithole country in the world. We'd absolutely have nothing. You wouldn't have fast food. You wouldn't have gas stations. You wouldn't have cars. You wouldn't have trucks. You wouldn't have the availability to pay your bills. Like nothing's free in this world unless you live in Section 8. And we can look at the statistics on that whenever I want to. But education, I've been talking on this education thing a lot because I think education is very important. But I've touched on the schools for college and like the scholarships and the grants and all this other stuff. But education, like even if you were to go to um, the let's just even start at the elementary level. Okay, well you have kindergarten through most elementary schools are through fourth grade, whatever, and let's just say K through 4. Okay, where could a kid fail in education there? And you have to think back, like, hey, are they getting the funding? Are they getting the opportunity to go to school? Yes, it's free schooling. It's up to that parent's job, who obviously is a certain color or certain race, that has to get their kid to school. Now, do you run into white people that don't have that same drive to get their kids to school to provide a higher education for that kid? Sure. But 90% of the time, you have this problem where I wish I had a whiteboard or something. I have my paper, but I'm not. You can't see it. So if you start at, let's say, the parent, right, and the parent says, "Well, um, that I have no way to get my kid to school." Well, there's a school bus. Okay, almost 98% of the school educations or the school systems in the world or the country offer a school bus. It's your responsibility to get them dressed and out the door to the school bus. If you don't do that, you're failing your kid. And I'm not like I said before, I'm not saying that other races don't do this, but there is a certain demographic of people that just say that it's not that much of a priority. I don't know why. They don't want to wake up on time to get their kid to school. I don't know. But then in turn they're failing their kid. This is that oppression that I think is so drawn up and manipulated. Like, you can say oppression, but if your parents don't care, were you really oppressed, or were your parents just failing you? Um, because I've met many and multiple people that were different races of me that were at school every day, had a perfect attendance, might not have had the best scenario to go home to, but is that an excuse for the parent? Like, no, it's not. So get up, get your kid ready for school, get them out to the school bus, let them learn, and then take in that education, and raise your kids with morals and the ability to listen, the ability to function in society, and you'll never have a failing kid. Your kid probably won't end up in the penal system that we say is oppressed, and we say that there's, obviously an abundance of certain races in prison. Well, we don't look at why. And a lot of people are scared to say why, and I'm not. It's because you raise hood rats, they end up in the prisons. I mean, the street life is not gonna succeed in any scenario you go to. You can't flourish in the street life. It's proven. You can go to organized crime. There's somebody there that's going to prison or get shot. There's you can go to these gangs that are so big and they're so infiltrated in the police, whatever, but they still get shot, or they run into a rival gang member going to get Taco Bell and they get shot. So, there's problems within themselves, but you can't blame oppression on that because, well, there's problems everywhere in the world, but you have to be able to get your kid to fucking school. Anyways, the education. So they say, oh, would they lack education? No, they really don't. They have the same opportunity. Those schools get the state funding and the federal funding, and you can say they don't, but when they don't, it's because their attendance is failing. Look at the numbers and look at the funding for these schools. You say, oh, my kid don't have the newest textbook. The fucking textbook still has reading and writing. Obviously, you can read in it. You can withstand all that. You don't care to take your kids home and go study those books. You want them to go play around in the playground, and that's fine. Let them be kids, but let them understand that there's steps to life, and education is very important. If you're failing your kid on the education system, you're failing your kid in general. So education, like K through 4, okay, and then you get your kids up in high school, whatever. Like, hey, you buy them a car, okay, you worked hard enough to buy them a car. Now, ensure that they go to school. If they don't, you whoop their fucking ass, or you take stuff away from them, take that car from them, put them on a school bus. There's no ethnics and morals to certain societies to ensure that they have a better future, and that falls on the parents. At that age limit, it falls on the parents. Okay, and then we're gonna skip past high school. We touched on high school, but we're gonna skip on past it. We're not gonna harp too much on that because they're young adults. And then when you get to college, well, okay, college is a hard thing to speak on. I didn't go to college. Not many people that I know went to college. Okay, and if they did, some of them didn't utilize it. When kids get the opportunity to go to college for free, like most minorities do, capitalize on that. Harp on your kids capitalizing on free education or even a scholarship that might be everything but your books. Find a way to get their books paid for. If you can't, I don't know. I really don't know. Go get a loan. Do anything you can possibly do to help your kids prosper. Because we look at this oppression thing, we look at this systematic racism thing, and people can never figure out where they went wrong. Anybody outside looking in can. And me being a parent, like I look at every step I take for my kids or for myself, a job, um, the opportunity to do certain things in my life. What shouldn't I do to better my kids, and what I should do to better my kids? It's very critical. I think on it every single day. Every move I make, am I bettering my kids or am I harming my kids? Education is very important. If you want to get rid of the systematic racism, you have standards, you have morals. Now, education is next. And typically, people with standards and morals have educated parents. And I'm not saying there's not some that fall through the crack, but so typically, you can take somebody that really focused on their education and they really prospered in life, whether they got a great job or they just lived in a better community, and they segregated themselves from bad issues for their kids. Those kids end up being doctors, lawyers, uh, cops, whatever you want to be, judges. That's why systematic racism, systematic oppression is not there. That's why that has been debunked thousands of times. You can go to a courtroom or any kind of branch of government, there's going to be somebody black there. I can assure you that. If not, you live in a really, really small town or something like that. But go out and go to your court system and say, hey, there's a black attorney, there's a black judge, and there's a black criminal. All three have one thing in common: they're black. And I'm not just harping on the black community, but typically everybody likes to say there's systematic racism or oppression in a certain ethnic group of people, which happens to be black. But you take them and you put them all three in one room. There's two of them that succeeded in life, one way or another. They succeeded in life. There's one that failed. And I can guarantee you, if you trace it back, he either fell through the cracks with his parents, like he just got in the wrong group of crowd, which typically is done because, oh, I want to be a gangbanger. This is what the rap music persuades us to do. This is what the TVs persuade us to do. That's what I'm going to do. And those parents were like, you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. You don't need to. They still did it, and they end up in the penal system. The penal system. But you have a black judge, you have a black attorney, you have a black criminal. That judge did something successful in his life. That attorney did something successful in his life, pretty much because of education. Because you can't do really either one of them without an education. And that's saying something. That's at least saying, hey, you know, maybe maybe we should focus on education here. Oh, well, systematic racism? No, that's not racism. They have the same 24 hours a day everybody else does. I have the same 24 hours a day the millionaires do. It's just I didn't utilize my noggin in the way they did, or I didn't have that rich family that utilized me and said, "Hey, go do this. It will reward you in the future." I didn't have that. I was led down a trail that, hey, you got this way and you got this way. You better figure out which way you're going and then bust your ass down that one. Had I busted my ass down that one, I'd have been in prison. That's the sad reality to it. And without guidance, you don't really know that. If my mama would have told me, DJ, you can go gang bang, you can go sling dope, you can do whatever you want to do, had I seen that and said, well, the risks are there, but the reward looks really good, I probably would have done that. That's not because I'm white. That's not because I'm black. That's not because I'm Hispanic. It's because my white mother literally said, DJ, that route is terrible for you. And you don't have enough racists doing that, so they go and do that. And then they fail, and then they blame everybody else. Oh, my baby didn't do nothing. My baby didn't do nothing. He just robbed that man. He was just selling dope to pay my bills. No, why don't you get a fucking job and get off your fucking ass and go to work? Your baby did something. Your baby's going to have to pay the time. Pay for the consequences on that. That's reality. That's the world. That's the life. That's the country. Okay, and then I'm not going to talk on this and not expose the white people that are the problem. Because we are. We have done this shit to ourselves. We have let this happen. At some point, people have to stop this shit. I can't do it by myself. I can speak on it and tell you whatever you want to hear, but you're not going to do nothing about it, then I don't know why you're even still tuning into this. This one I have harped on multiple times on the show, and corruption of government and government itself. in politics, anything you want to talk about, this is where people fail. Republicans fail this, Democrats fail this, right wing people, left wing people. We all fail at this. And it's because it's been instilled in our brains for God knows how long. But, okay. So, compassion is a big thing, and everybody says it's so passionate to talk about compassion, and it's great to be compassionate and have that soft spot in your heart, and it is. But with compassion has to have some kind of discernment. And I say this a lot, and I've been that person who, well, I felt like I was doing better by doing this. I did my good deed. I went on about my life. See that homeless guy at the corner of the street every day in the same spot. Okay, you go to the drive-through, say, "Hey, I'm gonna grab him something to eat." Let's just say this: you have that compassion leading up to this certain point, and anyways, you get to this drive-through. You say, "I'm gonna get him something to eat." And you drive up to him and you try to give him the food. No, sir, I've already ate. I've already ate. Well, if you're homeless, I think you would kind of still want to take the food and eat it later, but whatever. And then you offer me, you say, well, you got a few dollars. I'd love to have me something to drink or a beer or something. You know, like, you're not fixing to, you're not fixing to do that. Like, I'm not fixing to pay for your addiction that landed you here. And then that little bit of compassion I had for you fucked me over. I'm not fixing to do that for you. And am I not compassionate at this point? No, I was compassionate enough to offer something, to offer goods, to offer something that could fill his belly that's not liquor, that could not kill his liver. So, and then you think, well, you drive, let's just say you drive off, you have your food, whatever. You have your food, or gave him the food, whatever you want to do. Then you think, like, what, where did he go wrong, and why is he still doing this if he's literally asking for beer money or liquor money or whatever? Like, why is he in that position? And then you don't really know. There's no answer to that. He could tell you, but are you going to get the truth or not? I don't know. That does not make you less compassionate. You offered the compassion there. You offered that good deed, but you didn't. You had to have that discernment. So now every day you see him, you're like, fuck that man. Like, dude, he's still doing that because he has a liquor problem. Like, he literally has no house because he drinks so damn much, or he has no food on his, or no new clothes because he would rather spend that $12 on some fucking liquor. Excuse me, but you're still compassionate. You're still a good person when you leave there, right? And then you get complacency. So complacency is like, let's say that I try not to stay political with this, but I'm going to say you're complacent with your living, and you're, well, there's only 30% of the white population in the world now, but I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm living fine. That doesn't really affect me. And then I gotta carry a gun to the grocery store so I don't get shot at or don't get in the middle of a shootout, or you gotta go to the gas station at certain times of the night. You can't go in this area of town. But are you really okay? Like, should you really have to fear going to the gas station at a certain time without being harassed? Like, should you really tell your wife that she can't go to the store at this certain time because, well, bad things are going to happen to her? Or this area of the town, like, hey, you can't do that. And a lot of people make fun of white people for locking their doors in certain areas. Like, what the fuck do you expect them to do? That and that's is that racist? Like, if I lock my doors in a certain area of town, is that racist? I'm not locking my doors. I'm about to just up that thing on you, and you're gonna feel the wrath of that. But whatever, like, you come pulling on my door handle if you want to, and come on in, but you're not gonna want to go out the way you came in. So those two words are very important: compassion and complacency. And then we have to lead at what I was getting at here. That was the introduction to where I'm going at with this topic, and what are the negative effects to that to whites in society. And the complacency is, let's just say, okay, yeah, good idea. Let's say you have this private school that's your kids go to. Let's just say you have two kids, and you go to a private school where they have a terrible basketball program. Let's just say basketball. And there's this kid that needed, like, the principal comes to you and says, hey, we have this kid that really wants to come here, but his parents can't afford to put him in this school district, so, or can't afford to come here. But we really need this basketball program to succeed. And he's a really good athlete. He's really good at basketball. He goes to another school down the road. Okay. Then this kid lives in your house, black kid, let's say black kid, because we're playing basketball at this point. And you're compassionate enough to say, well, he can come in here, he can live, whatever, and we can pay for him to go to school. Let's say you pay for him to go to school for his senior year. Let's say his senior year. And he moves in with you or whatever, and then you're compassionate enough to let him do that, and you're like, he needs the opportunity. I feel so bad for him. He's experienced racism, systematic racism, oppressed. His family can't afford this. His family can't afford that due to their own negligence. But most of the time, you bring him in your house, and then 4 months into his senior year, police are knocking on your door. He's robbed a convenience store. You're his legal guardian because you have to be his legal guardian at school, and he lives there. Police knock on your door, say, hey, Tyrone robbed the gas station down here. I need you to come bail him out. Or they call you and say, you need to come bail him out. You go bail him out. Well, why did you rob that gas station? Well, man, fucking, I ain't had no money. I just needed to rob him. Give him money. Whatever. I don't know the excuse, but whatever. And then your compassion's like, fuck, he's starting to bite me on my ass, being compassionate. Well, where do they go? What do? You can't send him back to his parents. I mean, of course you could, but then he can't play basketball at that school. So the compassion fucked you on that. You got a person that's robbing gas stations lives in your house. That's probably committing other robberies, probably stealing your stuff, probably eating all your food, and that's fine. I mean, you're that compassionate, you're willing to fuck yourself for it, that's fine, do it. But it hurts people. It hurts society. It hurts white neighborhoods. Like, hey, everybody says it's racist. If you have a black person move in, you're kind of watching your stuff. Like, no, that demographic of people has proven to me that they're not the same. They don't have the same morals that I do. They don't have the same laws of society that I do. They don't like to follow those laws of society. So, fuck, if you don't look, you're going to have your lawnmower stolen. I mean, you know. And then complacency. I'm talking on that too, but like, you're so complacent that it's okay for you to worry about going to certain areas of the town or going to the gas station, like I said, at 11 o'clock at night. Well, every time you go there at 11 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock at night, there's 110 black people out there with their music blaring, and they're throwing around gang signs and throwing up their pistols and shooting music videos, or have, you know, all this bullshit going on around them. And then you get this group arguing with this group, and they start shooting while you're in the middle of it. Like, holy shit, I just went to the gas station. But at the time, you were complacent, like, oh, I'm just going to avoid that. I'm not going to speak out on that. I'm not going to speak against that because I'm being deemed as racist. That's why racism just does not bother me. Like, literally, I live in this country. I live in this state. I live in this world. I live here. I see it. I go to the gas station, or I go to a sophisticated restaurant, and somebody's hooping and hollering and not tipping their waitress or the waiter. Like, man, I'm not complacent. I'm gonna fucking say something about that. If you're a fucking piece of shit, I'm gonna tell you you're a piece of shit. Like, I don't care if you're black, white, Puerto Rican, whatever you want to be. I'm gonna tell you you're a piece of shit. And then what, man? You pull your pants up or something. Walking around seeing ass everywhere. I don't care to see that. This is not a strip club. And you're a man. I'm not a fucking faggot. I'm not looking at that. I don't want to look at that. Pull your fucking pants. I don't want my kids to see that. They don't care though. And then what is your moral differences here? Like, pants below the waist, loud ass music, gotta be the loudest people in the rooms. Come on, man. Function in society. There's plenty of black people that I know that, hell, you can't even tell they're listening to music. They come out, they have their pants up right, they shake your hand, they have a good job, they bust their ass at work, they provide for their family, never ask no questions to that. But the dynamic of that race is just torturous on society. Like, you can't have a functioning society without people that follow the laws. Had everybody not followed laws, we would all be a third world country, and this society would be, hey, you go get water out the creek, you're going to get shot at, or something's going to happen. You go to the grocery store and you pick up something, there's a good chance you're going to see somebody brawling in the parking lot, or shooting at each other, or excuse me, or whatever. And then my question, let me and then my next question on here is, why would they want to do with white away with white people? Okay, and I get everybody's gonna say, well, you had slavery, you had all this stuff, but I'm not saying that it can be a. They're taught to hate us, okay, and I'm saying that lightly, but they are taught to hate us. Like most black kids growing up are like, hey, you ain't gonna have no white friend. You're gonna be the police. Ain't gonna come over here. They're not gonna do that. You're not gonna just whatever. You're taught like, hey, do not like white people. Um, White man is out to get you, and that's just that brain. Like you even see it when they go to vote. 90% of the people they go vote, they follow the Democrats, and they're just their brain just not like the Republican white people are out to get you, or these country ass white boys are out to get you, or the suburban ass white people don't want you in the neighborhoods. Well, there's reasons. And I'm saying this on the white level. If there's somebody that thinks that I'm wrong, you're more than welcome to educate me on it. But I lived it. I'm living it to this day. I see it. I'm like, society's just not right. Like I'll tell you an example. I had a job at one point in time where I went into people's houses and installed internet, TV, whatever. I'm not going to say no names, but I went to a project area that's projects. And it was on my route. So I went there. And it's two people, black people. And they just did not, like, one of them had their penis out pissing when I got there. In the middle of the projects, did not care what kids walked around the corner, didn't care that I was a complete stranger walking around the corner, whatever. Okay. And then I go inside their house and I'm like, I don't really care to be here because I just seen this dude's dick. But I go in their house, install their internet, whatever. And the black woman is like, just meh, 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 talking mad shit. And like, lady, I just installed internet to your house and you're bitching at me because of something. I don't know. I don't know. But like, hey, there's ways to go about handling situations. If you don't like your food, you don't have to be pissed off and holler at the waitress because one, they didn't even make your fucking food, and two, just ask nicely. You might get something nice in return. But instead, you think that being loud and hooping and hollering is gonna get you something more. And typically, it does because people don't like to hear that. And I hate that that's how society's going. I would have asked you to fucking leave. Like, hey, you eat the food or you fucking leave and I get nothing for free. But why would they want to do away with white people? It's because, well, just really in society, we don't. I'm not saying we can't correspond because you can with good ones, with good on each side. There's bad race, there's bad white people in everywhere you go, like, right? You know what I mean? But you can do away with them. Throw them in jail. They commit crimes, go to jail. But then they're white people, they're white um, family members are not out here hooping and hollering free him because he shot that house up and it was justified. Or that police beat the fuck out of him for running and he started fighting them back. They beat the fuck out of him. That's police brutality. No, there's logic to everything. Like, hey, you run from the police, they're gonna tackle you, they're gonna probably tase you, or you pull a gun on a police officer, you're gonna get shot. I mean, that's just you pull a gun on me, you're gonna get shot. Am I racist because I shot you? Or am I racist? What am I? I'm just self defense or what? So I don't know. I really couldn't tell you why they want to get rid of white people, other than the fact that maybe we just don't correspond in society because cultures clash. Those two cultures are going to clash all the time until you have too much sophistication with one and one buys into the other. You do have those white people that think they're part of the hood, and more power to you. If you want to talk like that, talk like that. If you want your parents like that, wear your parents like that. but you're stupid. Everybody that sees you doing that is stupid. They're not stupid, but everybody that sees you doing that knows you're stupid. So there's your IQ level there. And then here's something that I've done looked into, and this is just funny to me. Like how I can tell you they're trying to do away with the white race. So you go to Google. Everybody can go to Google when they get off this episode. You Google, let's just say Google Asian moms. What's going to pop up is Asian moms. You Google Hispanic mama. What's going to pop up is Hispanic moms. Google black mothers. Go up and Google that, and the only thing that's going to pop up is just black people, black moms, black kids. Now you Google white moms. The first fucking thing that's going to pop up is interracial kids. Now, you can't have an all white family. You ain't supposed to have an all white mom and a whole white kid and a whole white dad. Why is that the only race that is different on Google? Why? Why is that the only biracial thing that pops up is the white moms? You can't never just have a white family. Turn on the TV. You can't just have a white family. And if you do, there's a fucking lesbian or something in it on TV. Is there got to be a black dad? Why? Why would you push that narrative? Why would you push interracial stuff? To do away with a race of people. And it just so happens to be white people. Nobody else goes after, and you do have those select few that go after the white guys that are black or whatever, and there's a very, very few of that. And even black guys, like I had an interactive post or comment on my post that on Facebook about white genocide. Somebody said, "Hey, I'm fine with black guys taking white girls, but I don't want any white guys to take black girls." I'm like, but that don't work like that. Like that's literally what I'm saying. But don't take black guys and put them with white women. That's just not right. I'm looking, man. I'm engaged. I'm happily engaged. There's plenty of white girls out there that don't correspond with black people that I would be completely fine with going to if I was single, which I don't want to ever be single. But you see what I'm saying? Like, I mean, there's a narrative here that they're pushing so hard, and that is interracial relationships, but only with white women. Because without a white woman, you ain't gonna have a white child. They don't do that on the white dads because, well, a white dad doesn't reproduce kids. He doesn't pop out 6 kids at a time. A white woman, she can pop out 6 white kids, and then they have pure white people for a long time. You see what I'm saying here? When that little system is broke, everybody's like, well, love wins, or whatever. What do they fucking say? Love has no colors, or something like that. Some stupid shit. What? So you're telling me that it's okay for black people to be black, Mexicans to be Mexican, Asians to be Asians, but white people can't be purely white? What? Why? Why is that a problem? Why is that the only fucking race that cannot be purely white? Can anybody give me that fucking answer? I highly doubt it. But just, hey, Google that. Literally Google white moms and then go Google black moms or any other race. But it's only white races that cannot be 100% pure. So, and then we're going to talk about these differences. Everybody says, what black people have it so bad in the justice system. They're wrongfully convicted all the time. What? Okay. Okay. You can have that. You can have that opinion. And then I'm going to give you these facts. This is just recent. These are just absolutely recent, like within the past month or two. So, here's an example. There's a white guy that kills a seagull for eating his kid's food. Okay, he gets 8 months in prison. There's a black man kills a man in the New York City subway and gets a misdemeanor and walks free. But that's just New York City, so it's fine. It's just one guy, right? No. Black man kills a pregnant mom and her unborn child, and nothing happens because a Seattle jury let him claim insanity. So he's just insane, right? He's just insane. It's okay for him to kill a pregnant woman with her unborn child dying too, so that's a double murder. And then he didn't even get 2 counts of murder because that Seattle jury said that wasn't a human in the belly. what the fuck? Are we being serious right now? Okay, hold on. Then, this ain't just black people. Then, an Asian woman kills a family of 4 and then gets probation. She killed them in a car wreck due to her negligence. Like, that's why it was in court. Kills a family of 4, a white family of 4, and then gets probation. Okay. Then I got another one. A white girl was surrounded by blacks in Lexington, Kentucky. While jumping on her car and kicking the car, she had to run some over to get out, and she was arrested. All while cops were 30 feet away. Now, you see all that commotion. Of course, blacks like to do black people shit around white girls or white boys, whatever, and they jump on her car. I saw the video of it. There's hundreds of people. I say hundreds. There's like 20 or 30 people, and they were just beating the fuck out of her black Tesla, kicking it, jumping on it, telling her to get the fuck out the car, all this other stuff. So she drives forward because they wouldn't let her go backwards. She drives forward expecting people to move. They didn't move. They got ran over. And then she gets arrested down the road from those same cops that were 30 feet away the whole time watching this unfold. Now, put yourself in those cops' shoes. I'm not defending the cops because, why would I? But they're 30 feet away. They see all the commotion. They're definitely outnumbered. And let's just say they go over there, right? If they go over there, black person pulls a gun on the cops, runs from the cops, whatever. They arrest them. Now, if somebody were to pull a gun, they got shot or whatever, those cops would have to deal with the legal problems that come about that because they're going to get attacked by the NAACP. All those 25 black people are going to sit here and scream, "Oh God, he was racist. He shot him for no reason. Terrell didn't do nothing. He didn't pull a gun. He wasn't running. He wasn't trying to fight the police. He was just trying to avoid the situation. He got the fuck bit out of him or he shot him or whatever." That's why they didn't respond to that. That's why they didn't go over there and intervene with that because, well, she can handle herself. She's in a car. And then she gets arrested for running them over. And I guarantee she's going to see some kind of time, whether it's probation or something like that. But she's going to see some time. And, well, guess what? It wasn't even her fucking fault. There's no telling what she said or did, but was it deserving of that? Was she the wrong person there, or would black people not run somebody over for that? Because I've seen them run over people for less. I've seen them shoot people for less on videos, obviously. I've seen them do shit for less. And there was a whole correlation of black people beating the fuck out of her car that I know a Tesla's probably like $60,000, $70,000. I would assume they're beating the fuck out of the car, and you'd expect her to just sit there and take that. What happens if they just busted her window out and started dragging her through the window? She cuts her throat on the glass of the window, or drag her out and beat the fuck out of her. Oh, she was just an innocent white girl that got the fuck beat out of her, but we don't have any video surveillance. We don't know what happened. Nothing, right? So, I'm going to end this by saying white culture, because people say that it's irrelevant, that there is no white culture. I'm going to say this. Everything I gave you here is proving that if you end white culture and a white society, you will have problems. Everything that was invented, every law that's been placed on this country that needs to be substantially handled, like, hey, you can't walk into people's house and rob them, you can't rape, you can't kill, you can't do this stuff, was put in by white people. Society was funded, and not funded, but built by white people. It was pretty much funded by white people as well. And so when I'm saying this is, what is white culture? Okay. White culture is taking your kids, your white family, to the park and eating hot dogs, going to baseball games, taking your kids to the zoo, going to Walmart at whatever time you want to fucking go to Walmart, doing all these things that just like you should be able to do in a free country. That you don't have to wear a gun, you don't have to have a knife. I'm always going to have something on me, but just in general, like, you're supposed to prosper as a white person, even as a black person. Like, I'm literally telling you this because I want all these Americans to prosper. This is an American show. I want Americans to prosper, but without white people, you can't. You don't have the inventions. You don't have those jobs. You don't have these certain things. And sure, there's black employers. There's black-owned businesses, and they prosper as well, right? But why do I have to know they're black-owned? What, you're doing great. Why do you have to tell me you're black? Do you want a cookie? I don't get the whole, You have to walk on eggshells around black people. Like if there's a black woman hooping and hollering, she got her 7 or 8 kids in the fucking restaurant, they're causing destruction. I should not want to hate my dinner because of that. Like I should be able to enjoy my peaceful restaurant and eat. If I wanted to go somewhere with a hoop and holler, I would go somewhere with a hoop and holler. I should be able to go to the gas station and not have to worry about, man, somebody pulled up behind me. I'm gonna have to worry about my gun or have my gun on. I should not hear your conversational fucking speakerphone. I should not hear about how Day Day down the road knocked up old girl down the road and he left her and now she's trying to hit him for child support, in which he's never going to pay because he doesn't have a job. I'm so tired of breaking my back every fucking day to provide for people in Section 8 housing, whether you're white or black or Mexican. That's not my job. I have kids to support myself. I'm not here to support your fucking kids. Now, and of course they got the system figured out. Do away with the fucking system. White people would fail from that too, correct? Like y'all say, oh, there's more white people on EBT. Okay, we'll do away with the whole fucking system. Make people figure it the fuck out. Society in a whole needs white people to function. It's proven. Things don't get built without white people. This country's not moving in this country is failing because of the ruins of white people and the complacency and the compassion of white people. And I'm just going to tell you this, and I'm going to have a whole episode on white genocide, but here's the cultural difference. Actually, I'm not going to end this show. I'm going to keep it going a little bit longer. I'm going to give you these stats before somebody says that white genocide is not a thing. So in 1950, New York's white population was 90%. Today, it's 30%. In 1950, Chicago was 86%. Today, it's 29%. Philadelphia, 80%. Today, 36%. Los Angeles, 94%. 37% today. Detroit, 84%. Today, it is 10%. Baltimore, 76%. Today, is 27%. Now, here's also some stuff. The U.S. cities with the highest murder rates. New Orleans, Louisiana, 46 per 100,000 people. 55% of the black population. 55% of the population is black. Jackson, Mississippi, 77.8 murders per 100,000 people. It's got an 81% black population. Memphis, Tennessee, there's 41 murders per 100,000 people. The population there is 62.91% black. St. Louis, Missouri, 69.4 murders per 100,000 people. 43.11% black population. Baltimore, Maryland, 51 murders per 100,000 people, a 60% black population. All of those that I named had a higher black population except for St. Louis, and is very, very close. All those have a very, 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 very high murder rate. Okay? Now, I'm going to give you this. A list of the safest cities in the United States. Campton Hills, Illinois, 89% white population. Pine Grove, Illinois, 69.5% population of white people. Hawthorne Grove, Illinois, 80.45% white population. Gilbert, Arizona, 72% white population. Chandler, Arizona, 62% white population. All of the safest cities in the United States have a higher white population than do any other. So, there's just some facts. There's just some facts that prove to you that with a certain demographic of people that are black, it's more dangerous to live in those areas. Now, do you really want to do away with white people? Ask yourself that. Do your own research. But do you really want to do away with white people? And please don't hit me with no facts or some bar graphs or some graphs that say, oh, well, you got mass murders and all this other stuff. I can get some more facts on that too. I'm sure I haven't wrote down, but I'm not digging through all my stuff to find that. But I hope you understand that you have to do per capita. They acquire for 13% of the population. Now, understand that when I just told you all those murder rate problems, and just take in consideration they're 13% of the population. So, that's going to be it for tonight. I hope that people actually acknowledge this podcast and listen through the whole thing and really paid attention to it. And even if you don't take much from it, please just be aware of your surroundings. And I do have some, you know, some advice. And I will say this because a lot of people just think, well, he's just racist. He's just, he just hates black people. No, I don't. I really don't. I really don't give a shit what you are. I really don't care for you if you're a piece of shit. But here's just one thing, or here's 4 things I'm going to give you advice on to do. You need to always carry a gun. Don't get too comfortable, okay? Do not get too comfortable at that store. Stay away from non-white areas because obviously stats proved that places with a higher white population are safer. And don't be afraid. You get so tired of hearing that. And black people really think we're afraid of them. Don't be afraid. Be aware. Be aware of your surroundings everywhere you go. I don't care if you're in a 100% white population place. Bad people have bad areas. Like, there's bad people in everywhere. But just be aware of your surroundings. But don't be afraid of fucking nobody. When I tell you this, I tell my kids this, I fear nobody but God. We all live, bleed, and breathe the same. If I get shot and the black guy next to me gets shot, we're all bleeding. But you need to be aware and don't be afraid. Fear nothing but God. And that's the point of the whole thing. Be aware of your surroundings. Don't feel safe. Don't feel comfortable. Just be aware, and then you'll be okay. But start addressing these issues. Start advocating for your color. Black people do it every day. Hispanics do it every day. White people do not, because you're deemed a racist. That's not okay. The whole racist narrative needs to be thrown out the window and ran over by a fucking garbage truck and taken to the dump. It's okay to be proud to be white. It's okay to be white. It's okay to be proud of your race. It's okay to be proud of your ancestors. If you're not, you need to check your shit. Because one day you're not going to exist. One day a functioning society will not exist. This white genocide will go down in history if we don't change it. Have babies, protect your kids, let them know it's not okay to be interracial because you're doing away with your ancestral issues, like your ancestral DNA, you're doing away with it. Don't coexist with all these other people. Make sure you just be proud of being white, okay? That's all I'm going to say tonight. Y'all have a great night. I will be going live on TikTok probably tomorrow, depending on how work goes. But I'm going to go live on TikTok. My TikTok name is DJ_Darby_. Tune in, ask me questions, follow me, check out some of my videos. Do whatever you got to do. But hey, be proud of yourself. Be proud that you're white. Be proud of your kids. And keep America pure. And let's keep doing this better. Let's get better. Let's be proud of ourselves. Y'all have a great night.